Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And once again, if you're enjoying these coaching videos, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow along on all of our social media platforms. Today, I am here at Johns Creek High School with new head football coach Jason Tester. And, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, sir.
I also want to shout out your choice in breakfast. We got to eat breakfast from Maple Street Biscuits.
Maple Street Biscuit Company.
Maple Street Biscuit Company, the Five and Dime. And there's a lot of these places around I just found. Go eat there. So, yeah, I do appreciate that. I'm going to take a nap afterwards. And
both.
Yeah, we jump right in. Just tell everybody, how you ended up here at Johns Creek.
Oh, it's we go in the full from the beginning.
You tell me everything you've done coaching wise.
Oh wow.
Going back to Brian Kelly.
most recently, just coming from East Side. That's actually where my journey in Georgia began. My wife and I moved here in 2006. Was a part of Rick Hurst's staff there for 7 years. Part of that turnaround. I believe it was a 22-game losing streak when we came in. When I came in, and then just had similar vision. Our philosophy of football of kids, relationships, and just education in whole, kind of set the tone, and we hit the ground running. And a lot of that stuff still very close with that staff. That's why I went there this past year with Jay Cawthon, who was the offensive coordinator at the time back then. Now is the head coach. So had an opportunity to go over there with Jay, and didn't plan on looking. This opportunity was presented to me, and I asked all the questions I needed to ask, what we look for, as coaches. And it just seemed like a really good fit, a good opportunity in knowing where this program is at and where it's been, and the mindset of the community. So that's kind of from 06 to where I'm at today. I spent 3 years at St. Pius with Paul Standard, who's a phenomenal coach and human being, and obviously time at Flowery Branch with Ben Hall as the DC and then as the head coach. And 1 year with Philip Jones at Brookwood, the COVID year, which was an awesome experience. So my Michigan time, coached there at my alma mater, Muskegon Catholic Central, through college, and then after college, before getting my first teaching job, kind of came back around. But that's puts me at I'm over 30 years of coaching football, but 26 years in education. And at 52, I feel I'm getting older. My body says that I'm you need to slow down in certain areas, but my mind and the kid in me says, let's go.
Oh yeah, no, I love it, and you've had you work with a lot of great coaches. I know football coaches will watch this. A lot of respect for those guys. I've got to meet Coach Standard years ago when he was actually doing baseball too, I think, and when I was at Collins Hill doing football and baseball, and just a great guy. Philip Jones, all those guys. So you take things from everywhere you've been, and then also coming in here. You got some work to do. You got to kind of get this thing headed back in the right direction. And so, you take things from other places. So what is it now that you're trying to instill in your kids that you want this program to be known for?
I think we all as coaches have our core, system of beliefs. And for me, discipline is something that we talk about. We talk about that within our home with our children. That I seem to be able to get to my football players better than I can my own children. But the looking at how to be efficient, how to invest in kids, and at the end of the day, for me, the relationship piece is where I see our bread and butter, in how we work to develop kids, know that every kid here that we're going to focus on two things: that player development is essential, and that the relationship matters. That is the primary. Not every kid. At the end of the day, we have 11 that are on the field. Our goal is to build depth and have our kids know that their value is significant, whether they're on the field or they're the ones that are preparing guys to be there. Football is a game of attrition. We know that there's going to be injuries. How we set up practice and how we work on mind, body, soul of our players all gives them the opportunity for growth and to have, a catalyst mindset, um, you know, so that come Friday, everybody's in tune. Everybody, understands the plan, and from coaches to players to support staff, all have that common vision of going out and putting our best, product forward for the community, and celebrating on Friday nights. That's really how, I look at it. There's a lot of things that go into that, and I've learned to trust in people and let coaches coach. That was tough for me because I wanted to, it was my way. I wanted to do things a certain way, and leaning on people instead of, telling them what to do. Like, let them. That's how I learned. And the best coaches that I've been with have always given me the opportunity to be genuine, to be who I am, and let my work go out and prove itself.
No, and I love everything you said in there. You talk about letting the assistant coaches do it. You'll run yourself ragged if you're trying to coach every position, especially on a football field.
Right.
But then too, you talk about relationships, and every coach talks about that. That's the big thing now. But I can say this: walking in here, you're definitely that guy, and seeing you just interact with the kids, you talk about a kid you played ping pong with, and it's not just your football players. Those things are so important in school because when your football players seeing you interact with the other kids, that's just a way for them to see you as, hey, not just coach, and build those relationships in other ways, but also building the community. I mean, you want these kids coming to the, Friday night on the football games, being loud and all those kind of things. So no, a lot of good stuff in there. So, all your stops, and this could be, some early college days, could be Michigan, could be here in Georgia. What's one of your favorite coaching stories you've had over the years?
Oh,
Could be funny, laughing, anything.
appropriate. Um,
If we have to edit things, we can.
you know, um, God, there's so many and so many people I could honor. Um, this most recent year, in honestly, with the being able to, and there's adversity that hits us all, personally, professionally,
Oh, yeah.
in the experience that I've had, and we've with my personally with my family, and my oldest son had 2 surgeries in 2023. Now that's taxing on a parent. Uh, you know, seeing your oldest go in and have to have surgery on their skull, and then months later having spine correction surgery. Like, there's a lot that as a coach, that you're grateful for the impact that you have, as well as feeding off the people that you have surround you. Um, being able to lean on, and I was open and honest with our kids at Flower Branch at the time, and I needed that.
Right.
That was significant. To that following year, we had within our house. It's crazy. We had 2 floods within the span of 11 months. So the
I've
first
just
one,
dealt with one, so I could not even imagine the second.
the first one we caught it because I was home and I could hear it and was able to shut the water off and all that. The second one, I'm going out to practice, and my wife called. This is the end of October, and it was one where it completely, like, we had to leave. So we were in a Airbnb for, it was 5 months, and
Coach.
so dealing with that, and then there's, so getting back into the house, and you got a family of 5, and you got dogs, you got cats, you got all kind of different moving parts. And then having the emotions of a season, and then leaving to go to a different job. There was a lot of things in terms of with faith, and how that became. It's always been significant for me, and it became that much more important for me to just know that waking up every day and saying this is a gift. I'm grateful. Um, I'm going to be a blessing to others today, instead of asking for blessings. And that, opportunity to go and coach with people like Jay Cawthon and Troy Hoff, who was the head coach after Rick Hurst and had come back, and Frankie Iverson, who all of us were a part of that original staff there. It was very, I'm driving an hour and 15 each way from Flower Branch to Covington every morning. it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me at all. I put a podcast on, and I'd listen to music, or I'd be on the phone, have conversations. It was such a, when you're doing something that you love and you're with people that you love, it everything works itself out.
Yep.
And it was very rewarding for me, to be able to do that. And I had, you, as men, you can have conversations, and I've told Jay that numerous times. With starting with spring ball and then working through the summer, just how much where I was at peace and there was clarity with what we were doing, and just enjoyed being around, a place where all that stuff, I know the stuff that matters to me matters to them.
Right.
And it was tough. It was tough to leave that. It was tough to, to look at the next chapter, to turn the page on that. But I know, I mean, it's just like the first time that I left, it was, I knew that friendships were formed, that they weren't going to change. Our oldest two they were born 3 weeks apart from each other. And, now they're in high school. It's something that I think that's what this is all about in terms of, what we do. You know, Education's tough enough as is. You need to surround yourself with people that matter, and have a similar vision. So that's, to sum up everything that that really kind of sticks out the most of, for me, most recently, on, stories of you know, who I am, and what the sport means to me, and the people that mean to me.
No, and I love all that. And one of the conversations I have with coaches often when they're talking about changing jobs is not just, we always talk about the 9 to 5. Your job in the building is just as important as well on the field. But those people you work with, yeah, you get to bring people with you sometimes, but it's hard. Like if you, when you're working with people that you trust, and that's why I think I hear so many assistants that could be head coaches, they just don't want to chance that. They're not that they're afraid to step away, but they're like, I've got a good thing, and all the things that are important to me are important to them. And it makes it, like you said, doesn't matter if you're driving 30 minutes or an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I know you get stuck in traffic sometimes too. So it gets longer than that. And Friday nights coming home, getting home probably what, 2, some things later than that. So those are things that are definitely important. So you obviously work with a lot of head coaches. You're now, again, for another time, being a head coach, you've got great assistants underneath you. If somebody came to you today, an assistant, could be a former player, anybody, and said, Coach Tester, I think I want to be a head coach one day, what piece of advice would you give them?
The number one thing is be you. I've learned you need to be observant. You need to try things. You can't be afraid to fail.
Right.
That we're naturally we're competitors based on our profession. But you need. I think back to when, before I was a head coach, how I operated, and everything was really, it's tunnel vision. It's you as a defensive guy, like these are the things that I need to take care of. I know I want to be an asset. I want to be a go-to guy that I'm going to take care of this. We're going to function, be efficient, and shut people down. Like that. That's our charge. When you take on the head coaching role, you can continue to do that. You can delegate that. There's so many different things that you have, decisions that you have to make in terms of how you want your program to run. How are you going to do that? Are you going to, I've learned to lean on people. I still, I'll if I got a question, I can call Paul Standard and ask him. I can call Rick Hurst and ask him. I can have, I can spitball things. I think that's a big part, is looking at from year to year how each team, how you can maximize, that collective group in order to put them in a position to be successful. We try to, I talking to our parents and our players, like we value their time.
Right.
I've modified how we work in the summer, compared to previous years, because, we want our kids fresh. We want them focused. We want the time that we have them, we want to maximize that. all while letting them still be kids. There's so many different directions that they can be pulled in, and we want multiple sport athletes. Uh, you know, Everything builds up towards, once we get into season, that they understand the process. They understand, how we function in, cause and effect, leading up towards Friday nights. And again, let's go out there and play loose, get after it, and be who we've developed ourselves into being. We're not gonna put ourselves in a position where we're going to try to be something else. We're going to work. There's certain ingredients that we need. Let's put it together and get after it.
No, I love everything you're saying, but I love what you're talking about with letting kids be kids. And I think, and I'm huge on trying to be efficient in everything I do, because there's only 24 hours in a day. And even if they gave you 28, that wouldn't be enough. But I think it's so important that kids understand that you do value their time. Yes, there's going to be stand around time when you're doing things, practice occasionally. But if you're not efficient in what you're doing at practice, what you're doing, handing out pads, and just the kids feel like they're standing around all the time, they like, hey, I got other things to do. But I think that's also important with your coaches. You spend so much time doing it, and you want to show that, hey, I value you and your time, and let's get not saying, hey, we got to get you out of here early all the time. There's you definitely got to work, but I think that's very important, especially for young coaches. So now some fun questions. Didn't tell you any of these. Rapid fire. I already know what the first answer is going to be. It could be different, but rapid fire. You don't have to give any context. Just an answer. Somebody's coming to town, okay, and there's a coach. I'm coming to town. I want to go to the best place to eat around. Where do you send them?
Oh, Aquaterra, Buford.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, that's our go-to if and when the wife and I go out. It's always easy.
Good place. All right. So this could be, I always say, this could be now, or this could be back when you were playing. Do you have a pregame hype song that you listen to now, or a type of music?
No, I'm too
Not
old.
everybody does.
The one that sticks out from when we were in high school was Tom Sawyer. Old Rush.
Okay.
That's dating me.
Listen, young ones need to look that up.
They
yes.
do.
Yes. All right. Who's just a coach that you just know anytime you see them on the other side of the field that you're just going to get the best out of them? Like they bring out the good in you. Just who's one of the best coaches you've ever coached against?
Oh, too many. I'm gonna go Travis Nolan. Yeah, a lot of respect for Travis. And he does a great job.
Yep. So what now? And I know every year to year it's different, and I'm taking this program over. But what is your pregame ritual? So like on a Friday night, what do you? And I don't mean like, hey, we're talking with the offense, that kind of stuff. What do you do on a Friday night to mentally prepare yourself for a game?
I like to make sure everything's taken care of. Kids are where they're supposed to be. They're we have our meetings, we have our our downtime, our relaxation, and coaches monitor that. I like to kind of shut myself, seclude myself, and I may take a cat nap. I may put on a episode of Seinfeld or something, or I may I may look through my notes and what I'm going to say pregame. It varies. It's really just kind of chill, and may FaceTime with my kids. It varies.
What's the best Seinfeld episode ever?
There's too many of them. The one I caught the other day was I was working on some stuff. Was these pretzels are making me thirsty? So that was it.
Who's the best player you've ever coached against?
Oh wow!
I never asked which one you coach because I don't want kids to get mad at you.
No, I could say that guy. He's still playing, and probably the most electric that one sticks out is the Holyfield kid, the Pius years, and just the battles.
Woodward, wasn't he?
Yeah. The battles we had with them, the state championship year when we played Buford, he was such a game changer, and they whooped us early in the season, and then we got them in the semifinals. But God, he was just so hard to defend. Um, there's quite a few of them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good football
No
players in
doubt.
Georgia. Who is somebody that could be here, could be football, could be anything? Who's another coach you think I should sit down with that people would like to hear from?
Oh God, Jay Cawthon at Eastside is.
I've actually texted him about that. I need to follow up with him. I
He
need your
is
help with that.
I can put that together. Yeah, Jay's awesome. If you haven't sat down with Mobs at Jackson County,
Mobs was one of my first.
he's always awesome to talk with. Obviously if Paul Standard at Gilmer, you'll be there a while. But he's awesome.
Listen, I always need a reason to go to the mountains too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and yeah, I spend. We just had the Glacier Clinic, and there's the UGA coming up, where we'll be there. That's one of the, as much as seeing ball and getting ideas, talking with those coaches, and if you haven't sat with Travis, talking with him or Ben Hall at Oconee, all phenomenal people, phenomenal coaches. I learned so much just being around them, and it's yeah. But Jay Cawthon definitely.
it's a good list, and all people I can get to. So yeah, and the last question I always ask coaches is, one of the big reasons I do these interviews is Coach Dooley's List is try to be a website, a one-stop shop for all coaches, not just football or any particular sport, just a place you can find uniforms, dirt, technology, anything. Who is a vendor that you've worked with over the years that, you wouldn't mind shouting out to other coaches because they've just done a great job for you?
We're a BSN school, so I gotta shout out Darcy. She's been phenomenal in my transition over, and Wayne, who was my old BSN rep. He did a great job for me at Flower Branch. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mike Nelson and Baker Sports.
Yep.
Mike's always, if I need anything, he'll get me. He'll drop everything, and he was in here last week. So. Mike's good people. Everybody in the state knows him. If they don't, they need to, just because he's one of the best in the business.
No, and that's what it's all about. It's always about the rep. Yeah, there's definitely good companies, but you get the good rep that, like you said, they will stop what they're doing. They can get it to you, and that's what makes it work. So, Well, listen, Coach, I do appreciate it. I really enjoyed this, and best of luck to you this
year.
Yes,
sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.